And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Structure Studios 101, Pool Studio Blue. We're going to do a live stream. And let's see what we got going on here. We will work on the divide tools in the house stage. All right, I'm going to show my keyboard here so we can give you some quick keyboard shortcut tips and tricks. It's not a straight up top down, but it's going to show you, just kind of some hand movements and such. I'm still waiting on a component to come in here so I can do like a top down of the keyboard. That way you can see like the top, my fat hands or whatnot. All right, so basically what we're going to do here, let's just go into the house stage and we'll start running through these step by step. So as you can see here, we have, this is a generic um, house model here, and it's half complete. We'll go through some divide tool functions is going to be in on this, and we'll also do, the main reason was a custom windows, like a bunch of custom windows, um, and essentially the easiest way to kind of do these type of custom windows here, like this here. You see it has the soldier course on top, and there's a couple of different ways that you can do these within the functions over here on this side. So let's get on this. So divide tools. All right, so divide tools, pretty simple process on the divide tools. Let's just say you have a like a gable right here in this section. So what we're going to do for the divide tools is I would just click my roof to highlight it, go into 2D, and locate the section that you wanted your uh, your your gable there on the hip section. Over here you have divide tools, which is the T shortcut key on your keyboard. T. We're gonna hit T, and it'll activate. And then so I'm on a 1-inch grid. Let's just go ahead and detach these. We'll detach the snaps. I'm drawing straight lines, so 1-inch grid. We're going to do grid only. We're going to do relative angle, and we're going to do autocomplete. This is going to be our setup here. All right. So basically what I'm going to do, T shortcut key for the divide tool. If you notice the little icon is a little circle. And then basically you're just going to find, whatever we're going to do this one 20 feet. So whatever, wherever it's located on the house, now you can do this with one shot without having to go in and make a bunch of additional pieces, which these tools are great for. So once you have, let's just X out of this. So once we have the roof here, you're going to double click to highlight the roof. And if you notice that these are all separated, this is the lower wall section. So floor number 1 always is going to be on, I always draw this as one solid shape, and then I will stack my floor 2 and then add my roof lines after that. It's just more control for the user so that you can, again, so you have just better control over your floors and walls. So back to divide, this is going to be a 20-foot wide gable. Over here in the roof section of the house stage, you'll see roof section. Now this is VIP 3D. Keep in mind this is VIP 3D. I'm not 100% sure what tools are in the Pool Studio version, but this is VIP 3D. So if you're not seeing these tools in Pool Studio, it's probably because it just doesn't have it. All right, so we got this highlighted here. So it's all red. So we're just gonna click, let's X out of this again, just to show you one more time. So we have our roof. We're gonna double click the roof to highlight the whole roof, double click. Okay, and then as you hover over these different faces, you see that they change. So I want this section, so I'm gonna click it once, left click, it's gonna turn white, just like that. And then I'm gonna come over here and just click gable. You see how I added the gable? Just like that. So relatively simple. Then all you have to do is come in here and Control C, Control V, and then if you wanted this brick, I would do double click. See, it's all going to highlight. Double click the face that I want to copy. Double click again. See, it's just this face. Control C, double click my gable, Control V, and there we have it. You can also add roof returns if you have roof returns. So we're going to double click this. We're going to click to highlight just our section. And here's our roof returns under the roof section tab. Roof return. You see it's going to put the roof returns in there for you. So a lot of cool functions in here. We used to have to do this in 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Now it's just one piece, couple of clicks, you're ready to go. So yeah, that's a very, very, very good function as far as your roof tools go. Yeah, divide tool it's critical for these type of roof. Now, also you can also do this. You can do there's that option there, which I like the divide tool option for that function. But you also have where you're gonna have a little more. It just depends on the application. And we always have to see the house. That's why reference images are so critical, so that we can see. You can see all the roof lines, how it comes together. What would be the best method? Hey, would a divide tool work here, or do I use a dormer? So in this case, we're going to just insert a dormer. So if I just were to double click on the house over here in full roof, you're going to see insert dormer. So we're just going to click that. Now this you have to be careful, see, because you have to make sure that it's going to be snapped. So you're going to have to go inside 2D. Let's go to 2D here. And see how it's off. The green line is my wall line, so I'm just going to snap that over to that wall line to make sure everything is nice and snapped. Again, grid is only checked, relative angle, autocomplete, 1-inch grid always for accuracy. I'll go all the way down to 1/4 inch, never above 1-inch grid for accuracy. Okay, so now you see why we added this dormer here. So there is a function. Let's change this to some siding also. So again, you're gonna double click. See, there's several different faces here. So I'm gonna double click to highlight all. Double click again, just the face I want to copy. Control C, double click my dormer. Control V, and now we're in business. We're gonna change this also. There we go. And these aren't gonna have any type of. We're just going to do that. All right, so here we go. You have this section. Let's go back to the house tab here. And then you can change this again. Now that you're snapped, you can kind of move it, wherever you want to freely. Just make sure that you go back into 2D and snap. So everything's nice and clean. You don't have those geometry issues. So again, this is the dormer, and you can change this to a hip. You can change it to a gable. You got a Dutch gable with the shingle visor. There's a gambrel. It's like a barn roof. It's called a gambrel roof. You can adjust your pitches and such. See. Now this is going to have to be, there we go. Now we're starting to get it. So there's your gambrel type. All right, then you have your jerkin head, which is going to be more like your hip to flat gable, essentially. Usually this has to do with like a baseline height. So we're gonna go like something like that. Adjust your pitches. There's your jerking head. And you got your mansard. This is a different, we'll get into a roof modeling workshop at a later date. Right now we're just kind of going through these tools so you can kind of see how they function and the best way for them to function for whatever it is that you're drawing. Now there's so many different ways to do things in this program. It just depends on the application. It's like it depends on what's going to work best for whatever it is that you're doing. So we're always going to keep that in mind. Some of these sometimes I'll use the dormer function and I won't use the divide tool function. So it just depends. It just depends on what the what the application is and what it is exactly that you're doing. But yeah, that's the function there. So I hope that answered your question on the divide tools. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's just say we had we'll do it again here. Divide tool, again, your T shortcut key, divide tool. And we're just going to come in here. Let's just add. So our center point is right here. See how it's in the middle? It's on like a half inch. So we're going to go over here. And when this occurs for me, and I'm like exactly like this is 39 feet, 11 inches because that's what I measured. I'm just going to turn this off to turn off the 1 inch, get down to a half inch. Now I'm snapped, and then I'll just draw me a guideline here, just like that. And then I'm going to put let's just say that this, let's say this has I don't know, we'll do like about a 25 footer. I make myself a lot of guidelines, a lot. Just kind of keep myself, on track. Plus I can come back and modify different things if I need to. So T, I'm going to put a point there. I'm going to put a point here on my divide. All right. I'm going to highlight my roof section. See, here's our section. Double click. It's going to be white outline. And we're going to make this a gable. You can also come in here and highlight just this section and it's white and then change the pitch. See. Pitch. And you can also adjust manually your overhang. I don't really like doing it this way because in 2D, if you notice that the outline is like this, I would rather see my roof turn and come out. So again, it just depends on the application, what it is that you're doing on I'm only using the grid function in this because I'm drawing 90 degrees. I'm drawing straight lines. I don't need anything else. It's just grid. So that's the main reason that I only use this snap. If you have point and line on, or any of these other snaps, they're all going to work against each other because the point and line is going to override grid. You're going to be off, and you're going to start seeing fractions of an inch. You never want to see fractions of an inch. So I just keep it simple. It's grid only. I'm drawing straight lines. I don't need anything else. So I try to keep this as simple as I possibly can. I don't really want to make it difficult for myself. So back on the divide points, you can do cool stuff like that. All right, so back on the grid, like I said, let's put these back. All right. What I like to do and what I try to tell people up front is to, especially if you're trying to get on the grid system, the program was designed to be used on a grid and line snap system. So in order to keep everything nice and tight and straight, it's always best to stay on that. So what you do is if you come up to your top taskbar, you see grid, you click that, and there's a little arrow, a detach arrow. click that, it's going to bring this over to the side. Now you can move this anywhere you want. So I like to just keep it snapped here. You can also do it to the snaps. You know, some people like to do their hide on hide menu. I don't. I don't like to clutter up my my viewport too much. Um, Now I did this for a while until I got on the grid and snap system, just to keep it in sight in mind. So if I'm drawing, let's just say if we go in, let's just say I'll go in 2D and I'm drawing something like freeform. Let's just say I'm drawing a freeform pool. What I'm going to do in that, I'm going to turn off the grid and I'm going to only select point and line. Now the center point and midpoints, you know, these, you use snaps as you need the snaps. You know, if I had all of these checked, like Structure Studios recommends, they're all going to fight each other. And that's why, you know, people are off. That's why you get geometry issues. Nothing's going to snap. Point line's going to override grid. Center point, midpoints, it's all going to override each other. So you're going to toggle these on and off as you need them, especially the K and the L. That's why I like to use relative angle, because the K and the L on the shortcut or on the keyboard are right next to each other. I'm not, you know, having to do this. It's just K, L, K, on, off, on, off, on, off. Escape or Q is going to be your functions to exit out of whatever function that you're currently in. So again, so back to, let's just say I'm drawing a freeform pool. You see I have my relative angle off, so I can freely rotate this, which is what I want when I'm drawing like sweeping arcs or recurves or something like that. You know, I like to turn the relative angle off, but leaving point and line on. But grid is off because I'm not snapping to the grid. I'm not going to snap to the grid anywhere. For something like this. So you could do something like this and then click, and then let's just say I wanted to extend this to make it a more of a sweeping type of arc. Then I'm just going to come way down like this right here. I'm going to click to see it's a little longer, and then, you know, I can come back around, you know, like this. And we're just going to draw some, you know, funky type shapes here. Let's just say I wanted this one to come down a little bit further like that. We're going to get like a little real crazy here. And then we're going to come up something like this. You see how it's so much easier to, with your, only the snaps that you need activated, instead of, you know, me having to snap to the grid. See how I can freely move this? All right, and then I'll take this line here and just connect it just like that. So now I have a nice sweeping, you know, it's not just circles, which I try to avoid, like just straight up circles. Another thing you have to look out for are these little points here. You see this? You see how it's not perfectly sweeping? You see it's a little like a point? So all you do is just grab this and just kind of smooth it out, just like this right here. And I usually zoom in to do that. See how it cleaned it up? Smooth that out. Because they will cause those spikes. I know you've seen them. Those, they have like, see, it's wanting to snap to the line. So I can just turn it off with the I shortcut key. Now I can just, you know, get it just where I need to, but don't forget to turn your snaps back on. So you watch my snaps over here in the menu. See, they're on. So I'm kind of snapping right just like that, you see? So I'm going to turn them off, and now I can, you see how smooth that is? And then turn them back on once you get it set to where you want. This is for freeform stuff, just like this right here. So if we go in, now, oh, wait a minute. I'm in spa, let's put this back in pool. There we go. So now we got a nice, clean shape of the pool. So that's kind of how I go between using just straight grid and then using point and line. Because if you notice that when I made this weld right here with a point and line, when I pulled this line up and snapped it, the rest of it went away that I didn't want. So it's kind of like an exploding and welding. There was another video on exploding and welding for stuff like this. I think I did like a big driveway or something like that. But back in the house stage, which is mainly what this video was about, the point in line is, like I said, I use that a lot for like freeform stuff. That's how I toggle these things on and off. Also, if you notice that if you have a pool light and point and line is on, it's going to snap. You see how it snaps? It'll snap to the walls. So I know a lot of people who have like all of these checked. Like you'll close down a file and then you'll open the file back up, and then like all your lights will be backwards, or lights will be backwards like on a post or something like that. Um, Sometimes they'll, just change. That's because the point and line are on. So that's the main reason for me. Like Windows will do it also. Anything that snaps, if point and line is on, then that means that you're going to automatically snap. So what I do is when I'm placing like pool lights or something, I'll turn it on. I'll turn on point and line to make sure that everything's snapped. You see how it's not moving anywhere? And then after all of my lights and such that I have them where I want to, I usually will toggle it back off. Just again, it's just a personal thing, um, because I have had issues with things snapping and turning, especially when you have your lines stacked, especially on house stage, like on Windows, like when your lines are stacked. So there's 1, 2, 3 pieces on this house, you see, but if I zoom in, there's only one line. So this is one of those things like I've had a discussion with Structure Studios on being able to label like wall section 1, wall section 2, wall section 3, and then when you're like if I'm snapping a window, see, I don't know which section that I'm snapped to. Well, I do, but there's not a layer uh, menu over here. You know what I mean? So it needs to be like a layer, like wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, and that way I know that I'm snapping to, whatever it is I'm snapping. And I can lock it, so I don't have to worry about my windows and moving around and such. So I'm really pushing for that. I think that'll be a cool thing. All right, so I think that'll really help us out a lot. Also, just being able to, because I can label my layers like first floor, second floor, or like you know west elevation, east elevation, whatever it may be, and then snap my all of my windows. All right, so let's go back over these here. That was a divide tool, line tool, of course, where these are all 2D, going to be 2D tools. And again, back on the grids, yeah, so there is a delay in the chat. So if there's, I think it's like a 15 or 20-second delay. I'm not sure what it is, so we're just gonna have to work through it here. So when something comes through on the chat, just give it a second, and I'll respond, and then we'll hear it. Yeah. So yeah, for sure on the snaps. It's going to be a constant toggle. It's going to be a constant toggle on and off. You're going to be constantly toggling. That's why shortcut keys are going to be very, very critical. Just using the shortcut keys, you're saving 20% of time just by using shortcut keys. By detaching your grid and your snaps menu, it always keeps it in mind over here. It's insight in mind. So that way you're constantly seeing, okay, I'm drawing straight lines. Let's get back on the grid here. I'm going to turn off my line, and then you can go from there. So this is my personal workflow. This is just the way that I've always done it. Like I said, I keep it as simple as I possibly can keep it. So I'm certainly not looking to convolute, my workflow in any way. And I don't have time to, for these things just to fight each other all the time either. Again, so if you see fractions of an inch, if you're drawing anything straight line, and you see fractions of an inch, I mean, if you get off on a 45-degree angle, you're going to see a fraction of an inch. You know, it's 45 degrees. But if you're drawing straight lines and 90-degree angles, you're seeing fractions of an inch. You are off. You're not snapped. You got to get on the grid. It's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna save you. It's gonna cut 90% of the user error out of your workflow. You're not gonna have the issues that everybody has, and the reason that everybody has the issues is because they're not using the grid and the snaps like they should be, using it. So that's the most important thing, is the grid and the snaps. Um, so like I said, if I turn this off, you see how it's 25504. So if all of this is on or off, and you see a fraction of an inch, then you know you're not snapped. And so, oh, well, I just saw a fraction of an inch. I'm drawing straight lines. I need to get back. Oh, my snaps aren't on. Okay, so bang, you get back on the grid. Now watch this. So even if you're off, now this is a cool function that you say, right click on the line and then click to grid, and it'll automatically snap it to the grid for you. Right. So if you're off, let's just say you're off, you see, and you zoom in, and you're on a 1-inch grid, and you zoom in and you see like 9 lines within 1 inch, you are in bad shape. You're gonna have to get some more discipline with your workflow. Plus your 2D, your plan sets, everything's gonna come out straight. When the guys are out in the field and they're trying to, scale something and the lines aren't straight and they're all skewed, that's just a disaster. So we got to keep things, it all starts here. We got to make sure that we're nice and tight here, so that when we get the plans over to the guys out on the field to actually build the design, they're not, things are going to be accurate. They're not going to be all skewed. So let's just say that we'll do this again, this snap to grid function. So we're not snapped. If we zoom in, you see we're off. You see we're off here. So I'm going to right click on the line, click to grid, and it's going to automatically snap to the closest node, which is going to be here, and then we're going to be back. We're going to be back in business. So again, if you're not using, let's just turn this off. So if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to draw, some squares here. There we go. And you look in here, you see this, you see how this is all, it's just very, very sloppy. You're in trouble. But there is a snap to grid function. We right click on the line, click to grid. Now again, this is not a substitute to not use your grid and your line snaps. You always just start using your grid and your line snaps from the very beginning. You're not going to have this issue anyway. That's just a waste of time. So you had to click this, there's like extra clicks is time. So, you got to make sure that you start out correctly. So let's just say this one, I don't have a survey in the background. Control B will bring up your survey. So hold Control, hit B. If you have a survey, you can toggle that on and off, just like that. So let's just say we want to insert a background image. So I'm going to go into project information. I'm going to go to background, and here's a survey right here. Let's go ahead and bring this in. Double click it. It's going to bring it in just like that. Make sure I'm in the correct orientation here. So what I do, I don't like this high contrast white, so I always invert my colors just to, mute that down. And I'll also turn down the opacity like this, because I'll usually overlay like a satellite screenshot of if I'm doing the environment and whatnot. So once I get my survey in, sometimes these surveys are going to come in and they're going to be like, they'll be off, like this. So you'll get a survey and it'll be off. Don't ever draw on a survey at an angle. You are just setting yourself up for a disaster. And then you're going to go like this, and you're going to be trying to make these, straight lines, and it's just never going to work. It's never going to work. It'll never be clean. You're going to have all sorts of issues. So what I always do is, once I bring my survey in, I'm going to go to, I go into the house stage, and I come down to my survey, and I click at the highlight. So what I do, usually, let's kind of start over again here. L shortcut key. I want my relative angle on my grid, so I'm on a straight line. So I usually draw a 90-degree section like this right here, because I'm going to fit this corner into here, and I know it's snapped. So if I zoom in, I know it's snapped because my grid and my snap is on. So now what I do is I will highlight my survey, W shortcut key to rotate, K to turn off my relative angle because I need to get that, you know, as smooth and tight as I possibly can. See, and I straighten it up just like that. And I zoom in, Q or escape to get out of that function. You see how it wants to snap? Because I have my snap on and I don't want it to snap. So I usually turn, while I'm doing this, I shortcut key to turn off. You see how smooth that is now? And I will fit this guy right up in there just like that. See, it's off a little bit here. So W, while I'm zoomed in, W, and then I'll just kind of make some adjustments. And then once I get it, you know, pretty straight, see, it's off here. So if I go, let's try this. There we go. So now it's straight. And then escape. I'll delete these lines. And now I'm ready to scale it. So click again, scale image. I usually find something between 20 and 25 is kind of what I like to scale in this particular program. I don't scale long. At 20 and 25, I look for some measurement, you know, on there. L shortcut key, I'm going to turn my snap back on, and I'm going to get right in the middle of this line here. Right in the middle, click, go over, and then right in the middle, and click. See 23. This is already pretty much scaled, so that's good. So 23.8 is going to be roughly 23 foot 10 inches. So I'm just going to say OK. And now Q, I'm going to, or escape. We're going to exit out of that function so I can move this again. And I'm just going to, this is already drawn, so I shortcut key. I'm going to get this thing right. There we go. So let me something like just like that right there. All right. Well, this is already drawn, so that's gonna be it's a little different. The house is already drawn, so basically I would come over here. This is already drawn. Click back in house stage. Turn my snaps back on. Grid line 1 inch. Relative angles on, and then what I do is I start tracing my first floor. Usually I will go, see 14.6, there's 5, here's 50. I never type in 15.4 because you're going to be off on your grid, okay? So if I typed in 15.4, you see the fraction here, 4.8, you see that? I don't want that. So it's always going to be, I'm going to round to the nearest snap point, always, always. It's just going to keep my work nice and tight, and I don't have to worry about, you know, things being off, especially when I start layering in my, you know, hardscapes and decks, planters, you know, pool, whatever it may be, deck. Now we're going to go ahead and go on from there. So 7, 10, and I just type in these measurements, and then, you know, eyeball it, you know, around. Here's a 3, 24.2, so 24 foot 2 inches is what I'm going to do there. 8, and it's usually a 10. So 9, 7, we're going to go 9, 9, so 4.5, so 4, 7, 10.2, 3. So if it's a 0.2, just add the inch. So it'll be 10.3, not a 10.2. Okay, so 11.7 will be 11.8. There's a 9, like this, 9, and go over, click, and see my autocomplete. So now, there we have it. And then what I usually do is, that's my first floor. I'm going to turn my roof lines off for my first floor. Always. This is my first floor walls. And that's going to be my first floor walls. No exceptions. You're not going to make these houses in one piece. You're just not going to do it. There are no shortcuts. You know, you're going to have to block puzzle these things together in Structure Studios. So it's going to be multiple pieces. Now with the new roof tools here, it's so much that you're losing good 60% of the pieces that it used to take. So if you go back and watch any of the old videos, you're going to see you'll see, how we used to have to do like a jerkin head or a mansard or a Dutch gable. It's all in like these multiple pieces, and the end product was always nice when you use your snaps. But man, these new roof tools, I mean, it was a hard fought battle, but we got them in, and just a couple of clicks, and we're good to go. All right, so let's just say I need to see what this roof line looks like on top. So we're going to go back into background image. We're going to go to, here's the photos of the actual property here. Oops, I didn't want to import that as a background, but you can see kind of like there's the house. And then you just layer in your, your second floor walls from there. So that's kind of how I start all of these projects. This is my first floor is a section. Then it's going to be your second floor is a section. And then if it's a simple enough house, like this one right here was relatively simple, you can add the roof line to it. But if this roof line is all cut up, then you would probably need to add your roof line as a separate piece. I think this one is a single piece here. Yeah, it's a single section because it's a relatively simple house. Now you're going to have these also with these valleys like this right here. So these are relatively simple, especially with the divide tool. So what I did was I put a divide tool right here, or a divide point right here on that section. And then I just changed that section to a hip off of a gable. And that way it gives me my shed to valley here like it is in the images. So yeah, that's a good it's a good way to not have to put in a bunch of extra pieces or do custom shapes fillers by using these divide points. The divide tool is going to be one of the most critical tools in your bag. So yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so there's your dormer action. If you wanted to add dormer, you can also insert gutters on the dormer as well. Insert some gutters here, just the gutter function. There we go. Don't forget to change your material color on the gutters. Here's some interior brick reveals. So if you go into material stage, you can, I want this to be 90, so I'm going to click, so Control C. I'm going to double click this and then just double click this wall here. Double click again, so it should be just this wall. So there it is. And I'm going to leave these, you see how they stayed wood? Custom windows. Yeah, so let's look at these. Let's make this. Let me reset this here. I'm just gonna make this like a generic type of house so we can see. We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna add a roof line. There we go. All right. So let's just say you have something like this, like an old school building or whatever. So you have a house, and this window in particular has um, a soldier course on top. Now, in the custom windows, you're going to see surround. That's what this is a surround. So I turned off the sides and the top, but it still left this section here. It wouldn't turn that off for whatever reason. But you can adjust your depths. So if I want to turn off the top, so we add the sides, add a bottom. I already have a seal. So let's just reset this window. So we're going to go down here to reset, and we're going to reset this back to like a default Structure Studios window. All right, what I usually do for brick is there's going to be a 2.5 to 3 inch reveal. on on in any house construction. So in order to get that reveal, it's going to be in window casing. Okay, so you have to make sure the window casing is on, and then you just do 3. You see how it recesses back for the window reveal, and there's more than likely going to be a sill on the brick, for our water table, brick ledge, whatever you want to call it. And we can change this to a 3, and I usually do like a 2 on the reveal. I wish I can. Let me see if I can, let's say, change this. Oh yeah, that was the wrong angle. Because I was hoping that they would have fixed it where it sheds off, so the angle is, I can do the angle down. Anyway, so once I get my windows set and my reveal is there, plus my seal is in, I'm going to copy my brick material, Control C, and I'm going to go click, hold Control click, paste it, and then turn this to 90, just like that. So now I have a nice custom brick reveal here. Now for stucco or like siding where they have like bands, I have a bunch of custom windows saved. If I go into my library and I type in my groups, windows, I have a bunch of, oops, I'm in material stage. So back in house stage, my groups, windows. So here's my windows that I have kind of saved. And this is kind of my go-to for adjustments. Now, all these windows are going to have to be adjusted, but it just depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm in a brick house, let's leave that back. So if I'm in a brick house and I know it's all brick and it's going to have the reveals, I'm going to go my brick 1/1, which is going to be just like this. All right. See, it already has my windows set up for me. So it's got, these are 2 different colors. So if I needed to change some colors or whatever, I can do that. It's already recessed where I want it. This is exactly the way I want it set up on my brick houses. And this is grouped also. So just to keep that in mind, it is grouped. So I'm going to ungroup. Okay. You see how it's 850? So I'm going to make adjustments. Just like this. Now back in 2D, I'm going to highlight both of these windows because I know they're already stacked and snapped because that's the way that I saved them. So back in 2D, I can come in here. Let me turn this off. I can come in here and snap these. But it's not snapping, and I don't know why. Oh, well, it's because it's an odd number. It's 2 foot 9 inches. So if I were to make this a 36-inch window, now it'll snap. You see how it snapped? So if you get those odd sizes like 2 foot 9, so the window's going to be 2.8, 2 foot 8 inches, a 2.8, a 2.4, a 2.4, a 2.8, a 3.0, 3.6. It's going to be in sizes like that. So just always keep that in mind. And the program, even though you have the grid set up, if your window is an odd size, it won't snap. See that? It just won't snap. It wants to snap to that middle point, that imaginary middle point. So I'm going to change this to 3 and then snap it. See, and it'll snap to my 1-inch grid. That way I can stack these windows. So if I wanted to do another window, it has like a transom or something above it, hold shift and then come up. You know what? Let's do the one with the seal. So we're going to do this one, hold shift, and we're going to come straight up with it. Do something like that. And now I know that it's already stacked. You see? It's not off. So if it were off a little bit, watch this. You see how it's off? Now I can just snap it right back. So now my windows are going to be nice and stacked properly. And I can get those transom type windows in like that. So yeah, custom windows, oh, it was such a huge help. You know what? I do these with doors also. You see, this is not a door. This is a window. It doesn't have a door handle, big deal. I have custom shaped door handles that I made because I use custom windows for my doors so that I can adjust these the way that I like. And the reason that I like the windows for the doors is because I can add the seal or the sill at the bottom. Um, so yeah, that's why I like to use windows. Plus, I can make this the correct size. Um, if I wanted this to be a 3080, then I can make a 3080. So if I come into here to house decor and I go into doors, and I'm going to scroll down here and grab this is a 96. Yeah, I'll grab this 96 and put it in here just like this. You see, it's defaulted. Let's come in here and do this. We're going to go to custom shapes. Let's just say we're going to make a stick here that's going to be 36 inches. Just to kind of, this is for demonstration purposes. This, and we're going to make one more. Cool. Whoops, I was on the wrong side. Oh, there we go. It was over here. So we're going to grab these two, hold Control, click, Control C, and we'll save some time. Control V. Here we are. Custom shapes. All right. So if you see that this is a 3080, so it's 3080. This one here is also a 3080. See? It's the same. But what I like is being able to add the sill at the bottom. So there's a little added extra detail on that, by adding the seal. You're going to have a seal on this door. Now you can do, and again, like if this door was more like a custom, again, there's another video on this scale function, but if you go to object, highlight the door, uncheck this scale box, and now if I wanted like a 2.0 door, E shortcut key for scales. You see I can scale this like this here. Get a little higher. Or if it's like a 6.8, I could do like a 6.8. Something like that. But the scale function is super handy for stuff like this. The thing is that there's no like a measurement indicator here, like in SketchUp. You can measure this, and the measurement will scale with the door. You don't really have that. You don't really have that in this program. So that's why I like to use the windows like this. And once I get the windows set, if I just absolutely had to have the door, I can always come back up. Again, another thing is the reveal. I like the reveal by using a window that you don't get with this door. You see, it's like a soft trim type of thing. But if I wanted to scale the door to that size, I could also bring this overlay and use it as a, as like a guide to do that. But yeah, custom windows, you can use it for all sorts of things. I use custom windows for trim, panels. I mean, all sorts of stuff I use custom windows for. So yeah, they're extremely, the tools for the custom windows has been a massive upgrade. Let me add some hardscapes and decks to this right here. My library is huge, so it takes a little bit of time for things to load. I need to get in there and organize it. I haven't organized it in a while. Let's see. Let's say I'm adding hardscapes and decks to this. I want to add like a patio. D shortcut key for outline tool. Let me get back up to my tools. Outline tool, D shortcut key. And I'm going to get, let's say I wanted to start my patio here and end my patio here. So what I do is I'll come in here. You see the little question mark and the highlighted green. So I'm going to click like this. And then click, because my snaps are on, my grid, my 1 inch. Come all the way around like this. And let's just say you want to come off 10 feet. So don't exit out of the function just yet. D shortcut key again. Click your line and just hit 10. Whoops, it went backwards. So if it goes backwards like that, it depends on the direction in which you pulled. If I would have pulled from right to left, it would have went up. Since I pulled from left to right, it went down. Now, this is supposed to be fixed in version 4, thankfully, because it should go whatever orientation that you go, it should offset. So I've been told that it will, that will be fixed. So the orientation will be correct. That all remains to be seen. But if this does happen, let's just say you pull it from left to right and it goes down, that's not a problem. Just exit back out of that and hit a minus. Whoops, make it a negative number, see? So I use my my numerical key over here, the 10 key. I use that a lot for stuff like this. I'm going to subtract, you know, because as I'm blowing through these, you know, I'm left-handed, so I'm wired up backwards. So there's a lot of things that I have to do the opposite way. I just because of the way I'm wired up. So all right, so now we have this. So we're gonna add, let's just do some pavers or something down here just for demonstration. I'm just gonna type in pavers and see what we got. Let's do like this Unilock looking material here. You can make some color adjustments and whatnot. Let's make it more like a tan. There we go. Something like that. There we are. All right. We're not happy little hardscapes. We get a little happy little hardscapes. All right, so let's get our materials sorted out here. All right. Now we can kind of see the sill of the door and whatnot. Let's get back over here to the custom windows. So this particular, it's a door. So we're gonna go. You can also watch the depth. See this line here. So this is gonna be more like your case, like your door case, your trim or whatever. So you can go like this right here, depth. You see how it's starting to come out now. Now some windows are gonna be like this. They're gonna have a little more of a reveal on the interior window as opposed to the trim. But you can also check this back in and recess this a lot. So you get a little more detail in your door. Let's just say it was a solid color door. You just come in here, Control C. I'm going to choose that material, Control V, and there we go. There we have it. Let's just say that you have, let's say there's like a panel or something. You know, you can come back in here to frame. So if you come into your custom windows, if you hover over any of this stuff, it's gonna highlight for you. So this is gonna be your case. This is gonna be your upper arch, and we'll talk about that later. Here's your frame. So you're gonna hover over and click frame. Now you're gonna have all of these window frame options. This way you can come in here and do your rows. Let's just say you're gonna do something like this. Now this is another thing that I'm pushing for, because these rows and columns are always gonna snap to the center. You can't move. I can't move it. Like if I wanted this to be a 1/1, like this window right here, you see how it's lower for the sash, you know, you got the upper window and then your 1/1. This is gonna it's gonna be like this. This is gonna be your standard window. It's gonna look just like this. Well, in the program, I can't make my bottom row or my row, I can't adjust it. So there needs to be a height adjustment in here, and that'll save me from having to do these windows in 2 pieces, which is, you know, the main thing. So if I were to come over here and do this, and then like this, and I wanted this mullion here for my 1/1, my sash, to be here and not in the middle, I can't do that. It's going to put it in the middle every single time. I'm pushing for a height elevation so you can control the height of the actual row for the windows. That way I can drop this down here. I can do this window in one piece and I'm done. I'm done with it. So there's that. So yeah, custom windows. Let me show you another custom window here. If I go back into my groups, windows, I have a more of like a, let me see, this colonial type window. Okay, so I do a lot of craftsman type houses down here. So there's going to be a lot of these type of, you know, custom windows. Very, very craftsman looking. Let's see what this one is. This is a siding with trim. So yeah, if I have a siding, like if I have some wood siding or whatever, I'm going to have the trim. Here's my 1/1 with the trim on it. Here's a 1/1 with a stucco band. It's like this. So if you see that these are two different colors, I do that just to, if I needed to pull this window over to the side and change it, then I could do that without, messing with the window that I have set. All right, so let's go back out of here. Here's a traditional 3050. These materials got all jacked up somehow. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back in there and fix that later. So let's look at this. So these windows are grouped. So ungroup. So there's 1, 2, and then my frame, which is 3. So if you wanted this window right here, for example, if I wanted this to kind of sit back a little bit more to give you that little more of an architectural sash detail, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn on my window casing. It's going to add the casing. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry. And I'm going to set this back a few and then turn the window casing off. See that? You see how it made that reveal? So now that this lower sash window, just like it would in real life, sits back, so when you open this window, it opens up on the inside up here. You understand what I'm saying? And then you can, some more of an architectural type of detail on that bad boy. So 10.5, again, you're going to have to come up here and do some, different type of work here for your custom stuff. But I like the way that this looked. So you have more of that detail. All right. So yeah, custom windows. Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff on the custom windows, and that's a cool thing. You can also do a lot of different styles. You have a bunch of preset styles and stuff also, for your real like ornate window trims and casings and stuff like that. You can do that. Um, oh, arches. Okay, so arches for custom windows. Again, you can group these back once you're all finished. Arches for custom windows. That's let's just use this one. I use arches for custom windows, and we're running out of time here, so we're going to we're wrapping this up here shortly. But let's go over the custom windows of the arches real quick, and then we'll see what we got. There's a couple of different ways to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this top. If I hover over the top of the arch here, it's going to highlight it. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to add arch. Okay. And it's going to add the arch. Let's turn this. We're going to do -1. There we go. We're going to do this like on the outside of the one, so we can all see. All right, so it's kind of like a brick reveal or whatever. So let's just say that you have, you wanted this to be arched. Man, let's widen this. It's like a 5. All right, so here's where it gets kind of funky, because there's a lot of different functions that's buried in this custom windows arches. You're going to go, there's a share casing with arch. If I click that, it's going to remove this mullion or row or whatever you want to call it between the windows. So now with that gone, I have to go back into frame and turn off these columns and rows. But I still have this, well, that's because these are 2 windows. So let me change this real quick. Let's start this over. I kind of messed up here. Is that no, that's 1 window. Okay, so I thought I still had it grouped, but apparently I do not. All right. So now with my window highlighted, I'm going to click my frame, my window frame. See, window panes and frame. I'll click that. And then you're going to come down here to arch settings, and there's a fan, and then there's standard. So if I go fan, you see how it's going to add the mullions like this? And you can, you're going to have to, why that's, line grill, see. There's also columns from Springline. You can do columns from Springline. But let's just say that you just wanted this to be an open arch. There's a standard button here. You're going to click that. And then you click share pane. Just like that. You see, now it's an open window. So now if I wanted to, I can do like an arched opening for like a front door. See, I'm going to turn the glass off. You see? We'll get back in there. There we go. You see here? So now it's an opening for like a front door. So I use a lot of arch openings for that. And if I wanted to, I could come in here and add a surround. We're going to take the bottom off. I'm going to drop this down 3 inches. There we go. Let's just say that there's no step up. This is just an arch opening. I'm just going to drop this bottom rail right under the ground. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. See how now it's an arched opening? So with my surrounds, this is the cool thing about surround. Let's just say this is a brick. Let's say this is the front of a house, and this is like a giant, like a brick, whatever, soldier course on this thing. I can come in here, double click my casing, and then you have your defaults for your casing. Let's just say it's, something like a colonial or whatever, Art Deco. You see how it gives a little bit of detail. So, and then you can come in here and you can change your, the widths and the depth. You see how, you give that, make it a little bit bigger. All right. I'm going to do like a stepped casing. Now we're going to do this as a brick. So now all we got to do is come in here and then we're going to click this because it's already 90 degrees. I'm going to Control C. I'm going to double click my surround, Control V. You see how it added that cool, and then you can just adjust your size. You see how, look at that detail. So now it gives you the brick soldier course detail. And this is a step in, and it's an opening. So let's just say that I don't want this frame, but I still want to keep my surround. Then I can go in here to House, double click my window, click my frame, turn my frame off. Window casing, turn my window casing off. Now I just have, whoops. Now I just have the brick opening only. So then you can do these on your houses for archways, doors, details like window details or wall details or just anything like that. These are some great functions that you can use. So let's see if this is like a 9. You see it's a wider. So the only thing that, again, we go back to the developer side of it, what I would like is for each brick material in the library to have its own soldier course material attached. So like these soldier courses here. Whoops. If I double click this and go like this and then turn this to 0, you see how it's more uniform. You see? Because they're longer bricks as opposed to these bricks. You see how it has the grout lines, like these grout lines? I want it to be more, like this. You see? But then I have to come in here and you try to, you're trying to make color adjustments, so it matches the brick. And it's just tough. So whatever wall brick that they have, I'm trying to push them where they'll do a soldier course like this, where it's exactly the same. That way, when we do this type of detail work, then we don't have to worry about and our lines being off or whatever. And again, if the soldier course, you have all different types and styles. So this is a 90 or 0, and this is 90. We're going to turn it to a soldier. Then you have to adjust the size, and then it's off, and But I think that would be a cool a function that they really need anyway, is to whatever whatever wall brick needs to have a corresponding vertical brick. But yeah, you can use these custom windows for, man, all sorts of things. This was such a great update. When they put that in, I was very very happy. Again, you can do all sorts of materials. So if you have like a cast, like a stucco within it, has like a cast stone type of surround, you can do that also, just with some material changes. So that looks really nice. So Control C, I'm going to double click this inside and double click it again. Let's see if I can get it. Double click, and then Control V. You see how now it's an opening. But yeah, I use custom windows on a lot of just a ton of stuff that is not a window. Casings, door casings, arches, wall details. I've used this stuff. I've used windows for all sorts of things. But yeah, these are great functions, house stage tools for Windows for sure. Mainly this video was because, or this live stream was because I had just a ton of inquiries on custom windows, which is what this is here. Again, when you come into house, you're going to have, let me just get another window over here. If you reset, and if you have any type of issues with Windows, just hit the reset button on the window, and it'll reset it back to default, and then you just start over again. But again, in house stage, you're going to have your window casing, you're going to have your top arch, you're going to have your frame, and you're going to have your glass and window covering. Okay, so all three of these functions are going to be all in this area here. Now, it's rare that I use a specialty window. So if I go and make this a specialty window, you are sort of limited to, like, the things that you can do. Um, I can't remove the bottom rail. There's just some things that I'm gonna, let's see if we can add. Yeah, there's gonna columns from Springline. Now, I have done houses that have these old colonial style windows in there, and they do work. I just had to stack them and layer my windows accordingly. But you are limited on the options that you have when you use the specialty window over just a standard window with an arch. Like if I just wanted to add the arch to it. Now I can control, let's just say that this is more like an elliptical arch. See the height here? If I click the arch, there's a height. Now watch the top arch here. You see that? So this works well if you have like a big, like a house with, wide openings like this. Hold shift. See if you have a house like this, and they don't have those like arch. They're more of the elongated, like an elliptical type arch. Then you can, this is how I use these. And you can lower these, raise these. So yeah, that works really, really well. Here we are in presentation stage. There we go. Let me get some light shining on here. So now you have these nice archways. We used to do these in custom shapes. I'd build all this stuff in custom shapes. There's an old video on the channel of me doing this in custom shapes back in the day before all these custom window functions. I don't have to do that anymore. It's just a couple of clicks. I got all the detail. I can add everything that I need on the detail. Do whatever I need to do, right here in one shot. I don't have to do a bunch of custom shapes and, all that fun stuff. So... yes, you have these, all these cool archways. Again, you come in here, let's just say casing, we're going to take the sides off. Let's just say there's a top, soldier course. Well, there you go. You just take the sides off. If you have some columns or whatever, you want to do some columns. Turn the sides, keep the top. Now come back into the material stage, grab my brick, and make these, turn it 90 degrees. There we go. Check it out. Gonna be a nice tiered brick archway. So yeah, these are really and these are just fantastic tools. It's just navigating. It's navigating, through the all the different functions. There's a ton of functions in here. I mean, I literally learn new functions all the time. Um, just because there's so much stuff buried in here, and the developer information is so limited on all of these different functions. But yeah, that's archways and a few different ways that you can use the archways. You just have to remember, like when you come in here to, let's grab our window here, test window, and get over here in the sunlight. You just got to remember the functions, how to turn this stuff on and off. And don't go, don't be skipping like, oh, here, 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 here. Do like first things first. Like, okay, the first thing I want to do is, make sure that I don't have any rows or columns. I'm going to come into my frame and I'm going to go share pane. I want a standard window with a shared pane. And back into casing. Share casing with arch so that I lose that line. You see, now I have the open window. So I think that's where people get confused. They're back and forth. And they're like, well, was I in frame? Was I in casing? Well, you have to do it in both. That's the thing. I wish there was more like a layer list over here. That way I could just uncheck what I wanted. But you have to, right now, click each individual section in order to make adjustments to whatever it may be. So a little bit convoluted, but it is, the functions are there. And once you get familiar with navigating around, it's all about the navigation. Once you get familiar with navigating around, this stuff is, I mean, it's really quick and really easy. You know exactly where to go to turn off, it's like, I can't get rid of this. Why can't I get rid of this? Well, it's buried in there. You just have to go in and turn these things on and off as you go. But yeah, arch windows, again, you can use them for all sorts of good stuff um, outside of what the actual intended function, like on the windows. I want to use them for openings, archways. So that's a cool thing. Here's another way that I use these real quick, and I know everybody's got to go here. I'll come in here. Let's just say I had let's just say I have a detail, like a brick detail, like on the house. Let's say there was let's do this. Say there's a window here, and there's you know, window up here. Let's just, we're gonna play here. Pick this up. Slow it down. There we go. And we're gonna make some adjustments here in a second. So what I like to do here now, I'll do this right here, is I will put a window casing on this bad boy, and then let's do a surround. See, here's why I don't like the surround either, is because it puts the surround and leaves the reveal. You see this right here? I don't really like that. So you just gotta be careful with um all right, so I want this to be a reveal, and then I want my depth. I want this to sit back like this right here. So like that. All right. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to do a sill on this guy. We're going to go up, set that right on top. So you're going to get a little extra detail out of that. See, this is a little gap there. That's because it's a 7.75. Let's see. I'm going to put a sill on this guy as well. Now what you can do is you can come in here, Control C, Control V, make some adjustments. So something like this. Now, let's just say there is a herringbone pattern. It's like this. So I'm going to come in here and find, whoops, I want this to be on the inside, like this. And there's better herringbones in here. Whoops. And you can change the direction, however you like these guys. So say minus 45, and it's like a herringbone or whatever. So like that. And then I'm going to take this. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, matching the color. See, I wish that this brick had a soldier course, was just all straight bricks, and I wish it had a herringbone so that I could do these things, um, more efficiently. But right now we just don't have that. So I can come in here and I can play with my colors, to get it close. And so that's just something that we're going to have to, work with. But it can be done where it looks pretty good. I mean, you can get it close. You're just going to have to spend a little bit of time and just play with it. And, you can get it close to get that detail. See? And then now you can come in here and, this is if it were like a smaller panel, something like this. You can, and you just have to do some material adjustments. Whoops. So material adjustments to get it exactly like where you wanted it and whatnot. You can also change the frame color if you wanted to hide that. But yeah, so you have these different, you can do these all sorts of, I use these for like wood panels. I can do wood panels. Like when you have like there's like a turret or something here with a wood panel. Let's get this back. And then you have, let's just say, it's white. Okay, this is like a white siding house or whatever. You see how it's like a wood panel? And then you can do, well, now if this were glass, I use the architectural, double click, change it back to glass. See, now I have my shift. See, now I have panels. Whoops. See, now it's like a wood panel. So you get your panel, you can panel walls out, add your glass. There's so many different things that you can do with the custom windows. It's really crazy. Let's just say you had this was like here's a stucco house, and it has like the band, like a nice stucco band, more of a modern type of thing. Then you can certainly make those adjustments as well. But yeah, divide points very important for your roof tools in house stage. Custom windows, you can use it for all sorts of things. Just great things, arches, custom banding, custom panels, custom detail work, all that fun stuff. You can also do, you can insert your dormers. If you wanted to clip the roof line, there's a clip roof line button here. So you can uncheck, check, and then you can you can do these however you want. Or you can do these. Let's see, how wide is this? It was 9 feet. So let's just say if I come over here and did another one. So T shortcut key for divide tool. Okay. And we're going to make this 9 feet also. Click. All right. Here's my, whoops. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to make this a gable. And now I can make just the gable. I can't raise the walls. Like the dormers, I can't raise this wall. Like the dormer, that's what the dormer's for. So you can have that higher, but I can adjust the pitch. So if you have this type of application where it's just a plate overhang to a gable, then you're going to use the divide tool. And again, I can just do, see, I use the divide tools a lot for patio covers and things like that. But if I need height like this, like there's a section, like a dormer section that kicks up, then I'm going to use my dormer so it'll clip the roof line, and now I can adjust the height. And then I can come over here and grab a window, you see. Yeah, it's on the house, like in between the house and the dormer. So something like that. There's also like a for like a front porch or whatever, I use these a lot for that. It just depends on the house. Now there's a lot of it's pretty complex. These houses get cut up real quick. So the more cut up the house, the more pieces that you're going to have to use. You're going to have to go back to some old school methods and do it that way. I use both, even the old school methods on the channel. Like if you go way back to the old roof styles, basically the roof videos that I made for Structure Studios to get these new roof tools. I still use those methods because some of these roof lines are just crazy in this program. Um, it's just learning the methods. So the more that you practice and the more that you do these methods like this, now when you come across a super complex cut up roofline house, you're going to know exactly where to go and how to navigate to exactly what it is that you need to do. So that's the main thing, is just your navigation in these methods. That's why those old school videos are good to watch, because you're still going to have to use those old school methods to do some of these like super complex roof lines on these houses in this program. Because you got to keep in mind that this program was not designed to be an architectural program like what we're making it do here. But over the past 5 years, all of these new architectural tools, like the roof tools, the windows, gutters, I wish they would have had the corner trim back, but just different things like that has changed the program to more of an architectural type program, not a full-on professional architectural modeling line program, but a fast, easy way that you can still compete and you can still bang out these super complex houses, these roof lines, and still half the time on one of the other more complex line modeling programs like Revit or SketchUp or whatever it is that you may be using. Now, I'll also encourage everybody to, use those programs because it's the use of those programs before I got over to Structure Studios for this industry that really has helped me, navigate through Structure Studios and say, well, what about this method for Revit? Will it work for Structure Studios? Some do, some don't. Well, what about this method in SketchUp? So using those kind of in tandem, just like together, has really helped, me advance, my own personal modeling skills in this program here. And I like it because it's fast. I can do these things fast. Are they going to be 100% accurate? Absolutely not. They never will be. But there's always going to be more than one way to do something. So it just depends on the application. It depends on the roof. It depends on the walls. It just depends on there's a lot of factors that's going to come into play here. So you have to you just have to know the methods. So it's all about practice. It's all about practice. So again, most important, grid and snaps. That's how these complex roof lines are going to come together. I mean, sometimes I'm down on a 1/4 inch grid. I just did one the other day. That it wasn't a huge house, but the house was so cut up and the roof lines were so weird that I was down on a 1/4 inch grid trying to make all this stuff, come together very seamlessly. And it was fun, and I learned some things. I learned some new methods. Because you just never know what you're going to come across as far as a complex roof line. Sometimes you just got to make things up on the fly as you go. So those things are, you know it's about navigation on, do I know the old school methods, to make this work? Am I using my grid and my line snaps? Because nothing's going to snap together cleanly if I don't. You're going to see you're going to see it. So keep all that in mind there. But yeah, we'll do another workshop on tools. I know we covered Divide Point and the Windows were the two main ones that I had questions on today from users. So I hope that this covered a lot of that. I know we kind of blasted through here. I gave it an extra 20-25 minutes or so. But yeah, a lot of different things. Comment on the video if you want to see something else. And then we'll jump back on another live stream and just kind of roll through this and try to help you guys out with these tools. But yeah, it's all about navigation, just kind of functions, how to find these different tools. Your shortcut keys, T for outline tool is very, very important when you're building these houses. So you can kind of reduce pieces. So the more pieces that you had, of course, the longer it's going to take. The reduced pieces of the house in the house stage is going to be that's the goal. So I don't want to make this house in 16 pieces anymore. I want to make it in 8. So the new roof tools certainly does that. It certainly knocks down 40-50% of the pieces that it used to take me to do something. Sometimes it's 60-70% on these really complex houses, which that's huge. I mean, that's time. So yeah, divide tool to get these different types of functions. Again, this is only in VIP 3D. I'm not sure what Pool Studio has as far as the roof tools go, but this is VIP 3D. So if you have Pool Studio and you don't see some functions, it's because you're on Pool Studio and you're about 40% less functions than the full version VIP 3D. So it's always encouraged to upgrade to VIP 3D. I know it's a little more expensive, but you're going to have all the tools, and time is money. So, for a little bit more expensive, you get done in a fraction of the time, then that's money well spent as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I would look into updating or upgrading to VIP 3D, the full version, to have access to the full gambit of tools at your disposal here, so that you can, really get in there and model quickly and effectively. You get as much detail as you possibly can get as it goes out the door. So. But anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. We'll do some more of these workshops. If you guys have any tools or certain functions, or if for certain stages like hardscapes and decks, hey, you want to see some tools for hardscapes and deck? Great, we'll do one on that. Or terrain, or pools and spas, or whatever it may be. Just post up. Come see us in our Facebook group, VIP 3D Core Essentials, so you can be able to post and request in there as well, or grab a membership for $5.99. That's pretty cheap. That's as cheap as YouTube would allow me to go. You get access to all the tips and tricks videos in here. Live streams are going to be for platinum users, so just keep that in mind in the future. These first few are going to be, we're just going to open it up just to help you guys out. But yeah, it's going to roll over next month onto the platinum subscribers. And then we're really going to get in there and we're going to talk about some real, real detailed and real special stuff. And we're also going to go over some editing and presentation stage and all of that fun stuff. Materials, custom materials, and a lot of good stuff. So yeah, platinum members, be prepared for that. They will pop up on your notifications as a scheduled live stream. If you have your notifications turned on YouTube. So always keep that in mind. And we'll do some real fun stuff and get into some real nuts and bolts of these tools and these different buried functions in those live streams. But right now, if you have any questions and you're not a member, I would encourage you to join just to get access to everything. This is golden information for less than what you spend on a coffee every single day. This is per month. So it's going to be It's going to help you out, and it's going to advance you rapidly in the program. So come on over and advance with us. And again, join us on VIP 3D Core Essentials on Facebook if you are not a member there. Come on over and see us, request to join, and admin will get you in. And then there's also 4 or 5 years of discussions of all sorts of topics from users. So again, this is all user requested stuff. So I got a user requested Windows, user requested Divide Point, user requested Roof Tools. That's kind of what this was here for the past hour and a half. So if you have any requests, be sure that you post up. And anything specific, let me know specifically what you're looking for or what you're attempting to do. And again, reference images is always critical. Reference images are always a plus. I need to see what it is that you're trying to do in order to help you out. So you can post that. If you're a member, there's a member community on the YouTube channel that you can post images, video, or whatnot. Say, hey, look, here's a picture of this house. This is a weird roof line, or this is a picture of a wall detail or an arch or something like that. Post reference images, that way we can see it, and then we can we can work it out together, and we'll just like I said, we'll just make stuff up as we go along. And then we'll do a Facebook group. Also, you can post, you can DM me or message me directly in Facebook. Say, hey, look, I'm having an issue. Don't spend hours, don't spend days on something that's only going to take you 20 or 30 minutes. Go ahead and just post up. If you get stuck, we're going to help you out in real time, and then you guys can not waste a ton of time, and we'll learn a lot in the process. So I appreciate you guys joining in, and we will catch you on the next one. Once again, Structure Studios 101 VIP 3D Core Essentials and Pool Studio Blue. Catch you on the next one.